Beck steps up, delivers downfield, intercepted! Jamari Sharp makes the pick that will clinch Indiana's first national championship.
Welcome into Morning Jocks here on a post-national championship Tuesday, a reaction Tuesday, if you will. Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell here with you. Appreciate you tuning in here on this fine, brisk Tuesday where it is once again freezing cold outside. So bundle up because I know a lot of people going back to work, back to school today after being off for the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday yesterday. And we are happy to have you here with us this morning as we have a national championship game to recap. And we have a 2025 college football season that has officially come to a close, and we can officially look forward to 2026. It's a clean slate now. Whoever your team is, you got a chance, right? And I think in large part because of who hoisted up the trophy last night, there are probably a lot of other programs that now feel like they might have a chance, whether it's this year or in the near future, because of the incredible feat that Indiana was just able to pull off last night there in Miami. So if you, by some chance, missed the result of the game last night and you're joining us, we appreciate you being here. But Indiana did claim a national championship last night, maybe the most improbable, certainly in my lifetime and our lifetime, Damian, the most improbable national champion that I've ever seen in college football. And I think probably for many of you out there listening, maybe the most improbable champion that you've ever seen in the history of college football, because you can't lose sight of the fact that, I mean, a year ago, this was statistically the worst program in the history. I mean, you think of, we make fun of Vanderbilt, right? You make fun of Northwestern. You make fun of some of these other programs. Oh, they're never any good. They never compete for anything. Indiana was worse than all of them. They were the worst statistically in the history of college football. And then they hire a little guy named Curt Cignetti from James Madison, and 2 years later, they're hoisting a national championship trophy. And not only that, but they do it after a 16-0 undefeated season. The first 16-0 undefeated season since, I believe it was Yale, back in 1894.
1894.
So over 130 years ago. And it's we've got plenty of time to talk about it. We're going to break down the game, but it really is hard to put into words how incredible that accomplishment was last night for Indiana. And I mean, you even heard Curt Cignetti after the game, right? Like even he didn't know if this was possible, right? Even he would have told you when they hired him that he didn't think they were going to win a national championship. He just wanted them to be competitive, right? Maybe get into a playoff. Maybe that would be great at Indiana. But not only did he do that in back-to-back years, he has now won the whole thing. And look, it was a fantastic game last night, especially the second half. The first half was very typical of what we've seen from Indiana, right? Kind of a slow start, a defensive battle. And you got to give credit to Miami's defensive line and their pass rush, especially in the second half, was absolutely dominant. But Indiana, they played essentially mistake-free football in the first half. You had the missed field goal by Miami. Indiana was able to score a touchdown, go up 10-0. And, a 10-0 lead for Indiana based on what we've seen, like, you felt like that was going to be impossible to overcome. And credit to Miami because they came out in the second half and really didn't flinch, and they made this a heck of a ball game. But I can't say enough about Indiana and making the plays that needed to be made when they just absolutely had to have them. And as you heard on the clip that Damian played there at the very beginning of, at the very beginning of the show, it all gets capped off with an interception from Carson Beck, which, if we're all being honest, is probably the most fitting way for Carson Beck's college career to come to an end. And unfortunately, that was, kind of the story of Miami's season, right? When you go back and look at how everything that they accomplished, and you kind of scratch your head of, man, so they went 7-1 against top 25 teams this year. And you go, man, but how did they lose to two unranked teams? That doesn't make sense for how good they were. Well, Carson Beck turned the ball over. And then the fact that, they had a final drive to potentially score a touchdown and win it in walk-off fashion, essentially. And Carson Beck throws an interception. Just kind of encapsulated the whole season for them, and that's the way that it all went out for them. But a fantastic game last night, Damian. Indiana, the national champions, 27-21. What were your takeaways? What stood out to you about Indiana's performance last night, and Miami giving them really a heck of a battle there in the second half?
Yeah, it was about as expected. It's a physical matchup on both sides. And I kind of figured that it would come down to one of the quarterbacks making just a play, something that's going to be monumental, and none bigger than what Fernando Mendoza was able to do. 4th and 5 inside the red zone, and after a timeout too. Like, it was kind of clock mismanagement there towards the end. And they call it quarterback draw. You give the Heisman Trophy winner, your best player on your squad, the ball in crunch time situation, and Fernando Mendoza was not going to be denied at the end zone. I just thought that this Indiana team all season long, it really started to, at least for me, I think when they went to Eugene and beat Oregon, I kind of felt that, okay, yeah, this Indiana team is not like, the Curtis Warwick year, the year before. I feel like this team is starting to complete it all. But as we started to go through the season, yeah, they get a close win against Penn State. It's, okay, well, what really happened in that ball game? Penn State's playing with nothing to lose, just fired the coach. Like, they're just playing with house money, gave Indiana everything they wanted. Iowa, just the style in which they played. The game was boring. It was physical nonetheless. Indiana just needed to make plays. And every time that you watch Indiana, when they need to make a play, Fernando Mendoza steps up. And shout out to Miami. They made Indiana earn everything. And right when they could have, folded up the tent, come out the second half, explosive play. Malachi Tony is an absolute dog. But when you look at just how Indiana they don't beat themselves. And I think that was even more evident when you have a situation, they block a punt. And all three phases of the game matter. Like, they matter no matter how you slice it up. So I think for Indiana, this was the most complete team we've seen in a while, where it may not have looked like the Joe Burrow type years, but the impact that they had on the field, no matter, you can't say they didn't play anybody. You can't say that, oh, well, these teams stink. No, they went into people's houses, they walked into the people's trap, and they took over. Like, this was the most dominant football team of the 2025-2026 season, and there was no bones about it. And I think that what we saw in the national championship was on full display. Whenever they needed to play, Fernando Mendoza stepped up. Their defense, they bent but didn't break, and they took every single punch. Miami did not quit. Now, I will give them a lot of credit for the fight that they had, because we've seen Miami teams in years past, even this past season, just fold under pressure. Now, it's very fitting that Carson Beck throws an interception on his final pass attempt, hopefully in college football. But that's kind of just how their season was. It was, we will lean on Mark Fletcher in this run game, and Carson Beck don't lose it for us. And not to say that he, quote-unquote, lost it for you, but there were times where the plays needed to be made, and Carson Beck didn't necessarily make them. So I think that when you look at this season as a whole, the parity that everybody wants, then everybody's saying, oh, we're getting tired of seeing the same teams in the college football playoff. Well, this one was different. This season was different. So if this is kind of the trend that we're going for, like you said, if you are a college football fan, you feel like your team's got a chance, because statistically, the worst program in college football history is now hoisting the national championship. And shout out to Curt Cignetti. Like he said, just Google him. He's a winner. Everywhere he's been, he's won. And that resume continues, again, at the worst program in college football history, yet they're the national champion. So, just shout out to Indiana.
Yeah, and I think, rightfully so, you're going to have a lot of people now that are, posing the question or declaring that, has Curt Cignetti become, the greatest coach in college football today? Is he overtaking guys like, a Kirby Smart that I think for a handful of years now we all would have looked at least, especially since Nick Saban retired, as that was kind of the guy. And it's just, again, it's hard to wrap your head around what he's been able to accomplish in such a short period of time. I remember when, going back, I remember when, not to bring up Hugh Freeze for no reason, but I just remember when he was at Auburn. And do you remember, there was an exchange early on in his time at Auburn, and somebody had brought up the fact that, well, Kirby played for national championship in his second year at Georgia, and Hugh Freeze went, wait, he played for a national, like in his second, and it was like wait, hang on a second, like that's the expectation? Like he played for a national championship in year 2? Curt Cignetti just won a national championship in year 2 at Indiana.
At Indiana, dog.
At Indiana. He did it in 2 years. And unfairly for a lot of coaches, they are now going to be compared to this. I mean, that's just the reality, right? There's a lot of schools out there that are going to go, well, why can't we do what they're doing? Well, because there's probably only one of those guys out there, and he's in Bloomington, Indiana right now. So it's seriously, yeah, it's so remarkable. Congratulations to Indiana, a fantastic season that won't be forgotten anytime soon. And again, maybe not they're not the flashiest, right? They don't have, I mean, Mendoza's great, right? But they don't have somebody that you just look at necessarily and go, they don't have a Joe Burrow or a
Right.
Jamar Chase or just like one of those guys that you're just like, oh, that's one of like, okay, put that dude in the NFL right now.
Must-see
He's a
TV.
top 10 yeah, like
Must-see TV.
they don't have as much NFL talent as any of these teams that they played in the playoffs. They're just a darn good football team.
Absolutely.
And they play for their coach and they play for each other. And that was on full display all season long. So a lot more to break down and discuss with this game. But again, seriously cannot congratulate Indiana enough. They complete the 16-0 perfect season, something that is going to be increasingly rare, I think, in this new era of college football. So certainly a very, very special moment for them. And, Damian said it, right? You can't say they didn't play anybody at this point. They are one of 5 teams now in the history of college football to beat 5 or more top 10 teams in the same season and go undefeated against those teams. So maybe you don't like who they played, but they beat some really, really good teams. And especially at the end, they showed that they were the best team in the country. And I think, again, you just look at what Miami did and you compare that to what we saw Alabama do, what we saw Oregon do, what we saw some pretty good teams do against this Indiana squad. And I think that just kind of puts into context how good Miami was, that, they were essentially maybe a couple of plays away from being able to win that thing at the very end. And a great season for Miami nonetheless. And both of these programs, again, this is going to be the interesting thing with the portal, though, is next year, you're going to bring in a lot of guys. And I know you've got, 2 exciting quarterbacks coming in for these programs, but it's going to be fascinating to see how quickly they can get back up here. And I'm certainly not in a position to doubt Kurt Cignetti right now.
Nope.
So I think a lot of people will be expecting maybe not a back-to-back championships, but certainly for him to be in the mix at the very least. So, and hey, who knows? Why not go win 2 in a row? Just continue to make the story even more unbelievable. So I was trying to explain this to my wife last night because she was asking, like, I don't really remember hearing about Indiana a whole lot. And I said, so like what's going on with Vanderbilt? And she goes, yeah. And I said, okay, imagine that on steroids.
100%.
She was like, oh. And I said, yeah. So it's like Vanderbilt, but instead of them just being like good, they're the best.
Yeah, right.
Like instead of them, oh yeah, like they're pretty good. Like they are now Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State. Like they're that.
Mm-hmm.
At least for this 1 year.
That's a perfect comparison. Except
maybe a little easier to get into Indiana than Vanderbilt. But other than that,
yeah. Without a Diego, like it's the direct opposite. Like some people have Fernando Mendoza, some people have Diego Pavia.
That's
it's complete contrast of styles. But I get your point though. It's a feel good story for Vanderbilt. When you watch Indiana, it's they are the best team.
Like you feel good for them, but you're also like, I don't think that I don't want to feel good for them because they're so good.
Right.
Like with Vanderbilt, you're like, I feel like they could use a little support now. But Indiana, it's like, nah, they probably don't want my support. Like they want me to hate them. And that's exactly what Kurt Cignetti wants as well. But hey, at least you got to see him smile a little bit after the win. That
Absolutely. He got the Sam Pittman route too. He likes himself a cold beer after a game.
I would too in that situation.
He's one of the boys.
I would too. And a much deserved one for him last night, no doubt about it. So we'll continue to discuss this. We'd love to get your thoughts on the game as well and really the season as a whole. 205-834-9450, whether you want to chime in on the phone lines or the courtesy GMC text line. We would love to hear from you, your thoughts as the Indiana Hoosiers, your national champions for 2025. And now we turn our heads to 2026 and a lot of new faces around the SEC, a lot of reason for excitement. If you're an Auburn fan, I want to say a lot of reason for excitement if you're an Alabama fan, maybe a lot of new faces to get acquainted with if you're an Alabama fan. But a lot going on. UAB, obviously, a new era for them as well. Samford doing the same thing. So going to be a fun 2026 and a lot for us to look forward to and a lot of time for us to break all of it down for you. But we continue talking about Indiana, getting your reaction to last night's national championship game. You're listening to Morning JOX. 619, welcome back into Morning Jocks here on a Tuesday after the national championship game. Indiana victors last night 27-21 over the Miami Hurricanes in their home stadium down there in South Beach. And a big moment, not only obviously for Indiana and Kurt Signetti and Fernando Mendoza and the rest of the team, but really felt like a big moment in college football yesterday, where it was maybe the validation of this new era that we're in, where I get there's a lot of things, there's a lot of warts that come with the game of college football now, but I certainly think from a competitive standpoint, from a parity standpoint, this is what you want, right? And, maybe it comes at the, benefit of other programs and a detriment to your, I'll be honest, I'm an Alabama fan. This new era does not benefit me as an Alabama fan. It doesn't. But it's highly entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
It's better. The product is better. But, for certain fan bases, I understand why maybe you're frustrated with the way that certain things have gone. But, again, the fact that it gives people hope. It makes people believe that there's a reason to, you're not just playing every year for the hopes of, oh, we can go to the Music City Bowl. Like, you legitimately think that we hire the right guy, we have a year where we get an infusion of maybe some cash, we can go out there and we can buy ourselves a championship. And I understand that a lot of people don't like the concept of buying yourself a championship, but that's kind of what it is now. But it's refreshing that, everyone to a certain degree has a chance. If you're able to, if the stars align just right. And who knows, maybe this is a one-off for Indiana and this is it, and it'll just kind of be a special season for them. But it certainly felt like a big moment in college football overall yesterday as they won the championship. And, again, fairly or unfairly, there's going to be a lot of teams now that expect to find themselves in a college football playoff situation. There's going to be a lot of coaches that are maybe under a little more pressure now to win very quickly. But that's the nature of the beast, and we'll see if other people out there can take the – because trust me, everyone's going to try to copy this.
100%.
They're going to look at this and go, all right, well, we can do that, and we're going to go and, maybe that means that, is it more opportunities for coaches at, smaller programs in smaller divisions to get an opportunity?
Yep. No, I don't know. I'm with you. If all we wanted was parity in college football,
we got it.
We have it now. And I think that, it may not be as pretty or the way that you designed it, but like you said, we're at a point where if you are a college football team, every single year you kind of feel like we have a chance to win a national championship because we just witnessed it. And no matter how you got there, and again, the pressure mounts up for these coaches, these athletic directors. It's a quick turnaround because now it's year to year you have a chance. Think of just how the transfer portal is. And I mean, I know we've shortened down the window, but teams and rosters look different every single year. No matter what. This is just the nature in which we are in. And if this causes the parity that we've all been hoping for and wanting, there has to be some downside to it. Yeah, you can say teams buying championships. Like, look at Texas Tech. They put all their money in NIL to pretty much buy their defense. Got them to the college football playoff, and then they realized, we forgot our offensive side of the ball. So what have they done in the portal this past season?
They went and spent a bunch of money on a quarterback. Yeah.
So I think that it's a catch-22. You are going to have to adjust. We're going to have to adjust our brains and think every single year is a clean slate. We don't know what these teams are going to be. Because even going back to 2024, I made it a point that Indiana didn't belong in the college football playoff last year after what happened to against Notre Dame. Now, Notre Dame goes and plays for the national title, loses to Ohio State. But, I mean, they ran into a better team. But this past season, there was no denying that Indiana was the best. Once you continue to watch them week after week, they continued to get better. And, yeah, the roster was older. It's not like these guys weren't also getting recruited from other places. Like, it's just we have to get to the point where, yeah, you can say they're making a bunch of money. You almost have to look at it like the NFL. And whether you like it or not, your eyes are still glued to it. No matter what your affinity is with your team, you're still going to rock with them. Think of the pressure that Kalen DeBoer is on in year 3, going into year 3. He made it to a college football playoff in 2025, won a game, got blown out by the best team in college football, and it's still not enough. He is still under pressure.
Well, because people are going to look and go, well, you should be doing what Indiana's doing.
Right. And that's comparison is the thief of joy.
Mm-hmm.
It is. So when you look at just where your program is and where it could be, you kind of have to look at it as, hey, why can't it be us? That's the kind of mindset I think that a lot of these teams should have of why can't we be the next one? Because, again, as slimy as Lane Kiffin is, he built a national championship contending roster at Ole Miss this past season. And they fell short to Miami. Essentially last play of the game. And really, you had a chance to win it on a Hail Mary. But this is just the nature of where college football is heading that, to me, I would be more engaged as a fan of, hey, we're having conversations the past 2 seasons that Vanderbilt is a legit contender in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this isn't just a doormat program anymore. It can be you. It can be you.
Yes, and I think, important distinction to make too, because, I'm reading some of this text that we're getting in here, and I'll share those in a minute, but it's, like with Indiana and Vanderbilt, I'm not saying they're not spending money, because obviously they are spending money, but I guess I look at it where, like in Major League Baseball right now, everyone's tired of the Dodgers, right? They just went and signed Kyle Tucker last week, and they've got a payroll, or total salary on their roster right now is over $2 billion, right? There's a problem with Major League Baseball. They're probably going to have to go through a shutdown and figure this out. All that being said, right, that's a different kind of money problem, I feel like, than what we're dealing with in college football, because Indiana's not – it's not Texas, right? Like, if we were in a stretch where Texas had just won 3 straight national championships or something because they were spending more money than everybody else, that's a problem. I think that's part of what makes it so impressive with Indiana is, yes, they're buying a team like everybody else is, but they're not spending money like Texas is. Now, do they have money? Yeah, Mark Cuban's giving them money. They got it. But they're doing it in a way where they're not going out there and just getting the most expensive players at every position. They're going out there and finding guys that you've never heard of that fit what Kurt Signetti and that staff want to do, and they're developing those guys. And, yeah, it's costing them money, but they're not taking shortcuts. They're not just going and outbidding everybody and overpaying for all of these players. Now, I'm sure they're overpaying for some like everybody does, but you get my point. Like, they are constructing a roster, not paying a bunch of, mercenaries. Oh, well, y'all are a bunch of great players. We hope it works out together. They're building a team, and I think that's kind of an important distinction there. See, because, Jamie chimes in on the Courtesy GMC text line, says, yes, with John Cougar Mellencamp and Mark Cuban in your back pocket, there's no way this is about football anymore. This is all about money, and until they have regulatory guidelines to go along with, this is not going to be an anomaly. This is going to be the new way of college football, and I do not like it at all. When you can buy a team every year, it's not football anymore. This is all about Moneyball. And if you're talking about Moneyball in the sense of, like, the movie, what was that all about? It was about being financially responsible and getting the most out of the least as you could.
Exactly.
I would say I don't think that's a bad thing.
And I also feel like this, too. If you don't have a problem, say if Alabama goes out and buys the best offensive line money can buy, nobody's going to be complaining when Kalen DeBoer is hosting that national championship.
Absolutely not. You're going to say, well, that's what you should be doing.
Exactly. It's, man, no matter how you slice it up. And we can't just sit here and say that Indiana's got the deepest pockets. Again, they didn't put up as much money as Texas Tech. They ain't put up as much money as Texas. Texas was out here just basically saying, what Lamborghini do you want, and we will get it to you. And that didn't lead to a national title. I still think that it still comes down to X's and O's and the players that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And Indiana, whether you like it or not, and we did this the roster comparison on Mac and Cube a couple days ago. Miami had, I think they had like 36 players that were either 4 or 5 stars. Indiana didn't have a single 5-star. They had 1 4-star.
Oh, yeah. We did the same thing with Alabama a
Yeah,
couple weeks ago.
when you compare the roster, stars don't mean anything. What best 11 do I have to go against your best 11?
Mm-hmm.
And let the chips fall where they may. Like I've never been big on just the recruiting thing anyway, because when you get to college, you start to separate. Like, oh, you look the part. You may look like a 5-star, but do you play like that on every single snap? So I look at this Indiana team. Yeah, you can say they're old, they're veterans, they transferred it. That's everywhere in college football. Think about where Auburn is right now. For the past 3 seasons, that entire quarterback room is different, and it's all because of transfers.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just where we are. And when you look at Jahmyr Gibbs came from the transfer portal from Georgia Tech to Alabama. ends up being a first round pick. Like there's examples everywhere of the change of scenery is necessary for a lot of people to get a lot of eyes on you and also advance your career in certain areas. So I think that instead of you can be bitter at it just because it's not the way that we grew up and we grew up watching it, but this is just where we are in college football. And again, to the point, if I am a college football fan, after watching Indiana, I feel as though, man, if they have a chance to win a national title, why can't we be that next door?
Mm-hmm.
No matter if we have to spend $1 billion to get it, to me, as long as my team has a fighting chance or has a chance to be one of the 12 teams playing and vying for a national championship, you're in a great spot. You are. No matter how you get to that point, whether it's money, transfers, if my team has a chance, by God, we have a chance, and I'm going to rock with them.
Yeah, and I think that's important that everybody feels like they have a chance. It also means there's a lot of people that, going to get frustrated quickly at times because you're going to go, well, why? Feels like maybe the allocation of resources isn't right, the strategy's not right, the coach isn't right, what have you. But again, you can always have the belief, oh, well, maybe after this year we'll make a change, and that'll be the time that we strike gold and, become a new era of success. And I think, a lot of people you look at Auburn and you go, hey, clean slate, right? We got an opportunity here. We've got the resources. We've got a coach that we believe in. Why not us next? And then similarly, you've got a situation like at Alabama where people are going, all right, we're going into year 3 now. It's time to show me the money, right? It's time to go play for a national championship. And again, for better or for worse, those are the expectations that are going to be all around the game of college football now. But we do want to carry on this conversation. A lot of your reaction coming in here on the text line about Indiana and just kind of the future of college football and what this means for a lot of other programs. So we appreciate you, 205-834-9450. We continue to hear from you, recap the national championship, and look ahead to 2026 right here on JOX. Well, the Indiana Hoosiers have certainly taken over college football as they are your 2025 national champions as they defeat the Miami Hurricanes 27-21 last night. Welcome back into Morning Jocks. Conrad and Damien here with you as we are continuing the conversation around the Indiana Hoosiers and their improbable climb to the top of the mountain of college football and what it means for your favorite program and a newfound hope for a lot of teams out there, but also the added pressure that it brings for a lot of other programs that are going to start going, why can't we do? Indiana can do it. Why can't we do it? And whether that's right or wrong, I think we know that's how it's going to be, at least here in the immediate future. So we're about to get to your text, your phone calls as well, 205-834-9450 on the courtesy GMC text line. But do want to remind you, tonight you got SEC Hoops. Auburn is going to be on the road in Oxford. They're taking on Ole Miss at 8 o'clock tonight. That's you can watch that on ESPNU. Auburn's a 2.5-point favorite on the road there against the Rebels. So that's going to be an exciting one tonight. You also have LSU, Florida, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Missouri and Georgia on the slate tonight. But Auburn, Ole Miss, 8 o'clock, ESPNU on television. You can hear it right here on JOX as well. And just wanted to keep you up to date on what's going on because it is SEC basketball season now. But it was for one more night, college football season yesterday, and a lot of you chiming in with your reaction to Indiana's national championship win. This one rolls in and says, Indiana winning a state title would be the equivalent of my alma mater, Hayden, winning a state championship in high school football. That's actually pretty accurate. That's pretty accurate, especially when I was in high school. That would have been
It would have been a sight to see.
Would have been a sight to see to win 6 games in a season, let alone win a state championship. But nonetheless, let's see. Chris chimes in and says, just a question. Let's say Coach DeBoer doesn't get the job done at Alabama. Do you think Kurt Signetti would be interested in coming to Alabama? I do not.
Nah.
I'll be honest. I think there's a part of him, and rightfully so to a certain degree, that probably looks at other programs and go, like in Alabama, right? Like I worked there. I worked for Nick Saban, and the best you could do for me was an assistant, whatever. And no, I blazed my own path. At this point too, if you're him, because isn't that the whole goal of, when coaches, you have a really good coach here, but they leave for an Alabama or a Georgia or an Ohio State. It's because why did Brian Kelly leave Notre Dame for LSU? The thought was he couldn't win a national championship at Notre Dame, but he could at LSU. Kurt Signetti just won a national championship in Indiana. Why would you leave?
Yeah.
You can do anything you would accomplish anywhere else, you already have at Indiana, and you're the one that did it.
Yeah. I think he kind of strikes me as a guy he's kind of got his boots in the ground in Indiana. He kind of wants to make this a powerhouse of why would I want to leave? I built this to where it is. I want to be here to sustain this success.
Absolutely.
This success.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think after winning the title, I don't know exactly what the incentives are, but I believe next year he's going to now be making $14 million as the Indiana head coach. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's good. And even earlier this week, because I know this was a rumor last week, but he came out and said, he's a college guy, no interest in going to the pros, because I know some people were, well, he'd go to the Steelers, but I think he's going to be at Indiana for a little bit, to say the least. Let's see. Clamp texts in, says, Kurt Signetti's the dog. Indiana had a third of the talent Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State, Alabama, Miami, and Texas had, and still found a way to win. Yep. Absolutely. Let's see. Robert from Pelham. Let's see. Just as last year and the year before that, and every year since people ran Gus Malzahn off from Auburn, I do not get hyped or excited for Auburn football. Have more than 5 wins a season, then I may develop a sliver of hope for the program. In the meantime, Hoosiers is the only Crimson I will ever support. Thank you, Robert.
It's kind of weird.
Appreciate you chiming in there. What?
So I'm assuming he's an Auburn fan.
Correct.
And he doesn't have hope, but he'll support
Crimson, just not
Crimson.
Alabama, Indiana.
And also, before Signetti got there, they were the worst program in college football.
Mm-hmm.
Like You've actually seen better days up until this point for Indiana. Just
a 5-7 season for Indiana wasn't bad.
What?
They'd be like, yeah, sure.
that was overachieving just 2 years ago.
You mean if we make good grades, we might get into a bowl game? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. That sounds fun.
Man, it's got to be tough. It's got to be tough.
Yeah, it is. It is, but I mean, again, like, right? If you're an Auburn fan, you're probably thinking, all right, why not us? Why can we not go and do this? And who knows? Maybe you can. Maybe you can. Let's see. This text from Jordan comes in. Says, I didn't even realize that Indiana had Mark Cuban backing them up until last night. Must be nice to have, or it would be nice to have a billionaire backing Alabama. Yeah, but you don't have one right now. So that is the name of the game. It says, this one says, every coach, David in Pell City, every coach in America is looking for their own Mark Cuban this morning. Yeah, well, again, unfortunately, those do not grow on trees, is last time I checked. But yeah, if your program has one, hey, call Tim Cook, Auburn.
Hey, yeah.
Everyone's got an iPhone. He's worth a few.
They got their own wireless network and stuff too. So
he's worth a few shekels. He can spread some of that out to the plains. Let's see. Cowboy says Damien's correct. Everyone has a clean slate and anyone can win a national championship. Yeah, if they want to. They put their resources in the right spot and make the right hire. Certainly is possible. Eric in Adamsville says the general manager is the second most important position in college football now, ahead of strength and conditioning coach, right behind the head coach. Talent evaluation it's
key.
Incredibly important.
You better have a good scout.
Incredibly important. There's no doubt about that one. Let's see. This one says college football has basically become Madden Ultimate Team. Yeah, except you're not having to, buy the packs and hoping you get who you want. You can just kind of go pay for who you want.
Yeah, you know who you're getting.
Which is nice. Let's see. This one says, this process is not leading to parity, but it's leading to the teams with the most money winning. College institutions should not be in the business of professional sports, and that's what this has become. And taxpayer money should no longer go to the institutions for this. And I think, again, that's where if you get some guidelines in place and we have a salary cap type deal, which I know a lot of people thought we did with the revenue share, and that was just not real. Then at that point, I think, again, parity can be good, right? If everybody has the same, essentially, pool of resources to work with, it's just, you do have teams now that can go. I mean, look at Texas, what they're doing right now. Like, they're going to go and spend probably $40 million, if not more, on their roster this year. And they're very clearly telling you, okay, we disappointed this year. We've got to get to a national championship game.
Yep.
And they're paying to do that.
Yep.
And we'll see. And if it works out, then people are going to be upset. And if it doesn't work out, then we can sit there and laugh at them like we did this year. Because, while yes, money does buy a lot for you, it doesn't buy you everything. And I think, again, that's where I go back to Indiana of, yes, do they have a lot of money? Yes. Do they have a billionaire booster behind them? Yes, they do. But they're not spending as much money as some of these other programs. They're going out there and identifying the right guys that are a good fit for them, paying them, and developing them into a championship caliber team. That's the impressive part about it, more than anything. Let's see. This text says, guys, 20 to 30% of Alabama fans would still be mad if Alabama won a national championship next year, and not one of them would have ever attended an actual ball game in Bryant-Denny. Well, fair.
It's just never enough.
That's how it works sometimes. That's how it works sometimes. Doug chimes in. He says, Indiana won because they kept the team together for 2 years with experienced 3-star players. Ohio State and Michigan also paid a lot to keep guys together before their championship runs. Money and complete turnovers are not the answers. It's team play and toughness. And I do agree with that, right? You want guys, and I mean, they talked about it, right? Their average age, I think, of the Indiana roster was like over 23 years old or something like that. I mean, they got some grown men out there, but that's how it works now.
Yeah, they also had some talent.
That's strategy. And certainly
they had some talent.
Certainly had some talent there along the way as well. All right, let's go to the phones real quick. Let's go to Don before we go to break. He's been waiting patiently. Don, how are we doing this morning? What are your thoughts on Indiana winning it all?
Good morning, guys. Good morning. And are you saying there's a chance, Conrad?
There is a chance. There is a chance.
I love that line in that movie. Yeah, I mean, hey, every school out there, including me and my Auburn Tigers, have got a little hope in us now, and everything. And the college football world has changed, and I don't know if everybody likes it and everything, but I'd like to know what the TV ratings on that game were last night. Can you imagine what the TV ratings were?
It'll be interesting to find out, but again, I don't think it's going to be like the most viewed game of the season or anything like that. I could be wrong, but I mean, you just go and look at all the most watched teams this year in college football based on the ratings, and it wasn't those two. So it'll be interesting to see what the number is.
Oh yeah, and by the way, last night this is something kind of funny. They on College Game Day they had the girl sitting in the seat. The average price for a ticket to that game was $4,700. But here's the kicker: the $700 to park.
That's a lot.
That's insane.
That is a
You
lot
know,
of
a lot
money.
of people. A lot of people were joking. Just park illegally and get your car towed. That's probably been cheaper.
Yeah, it probably would be cheaper. That's a lot, but it looked like a lot of people having a good time last night in Miami.
All right. Well, I'll see everybody up at Social Taco today, and I hope to see you two guys.
All right, appreciate it, Don. Thanks for chiming in this morning, and appreciate all of you chiming in on the Courtesy GMC text line 205-834-9450. We'd love to continue to hear from you, but I do want to give Damian some time when we come back, because while there was a national champion crowned last night, we did have some breaking news overnight in the NFL, and Damian's going to introduce to you his new head coach and give you his thoughts on the hire by the Tennessee Titans. That's next, right here on JOX.
Welcome back into Morning Jocks. Damien and Conrad here with you for a few more moments as we get you set for McElroy and Kubelik in the morning. Let me tell you about our friends at Hometown Roofing and Restorations. Trust the experts for your roofing needs. With over 1,200 roofers in the Birmingham area, make sure you call on someone you can trust. Hometown Roofers is family-owned, grounded in faith, and community-oriented. Their customer satisfaction focuses with your needs in mind so you can count on honest communication. Listen, the goal is to get it right the first time. I know those guys, Ryan and Shane. If it's an insurance claim, they'll just give them a call, and they'll take the ball for you, so you don't have to worry about the red tape and back and forth with the insurance company. Only top-notch materials. Hometown is certified with 2 of the best national brands of shingle, and they offer lifetime material warranties. Financing is available. And wonder if you got a sign of an aging roof or you're seeing some roof damage, Hometown offers free inspections. Rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau, Hometown Roofing and Restoration can also handle siding, windows, gutters, and minor remodels. Give them a call at 205-984-4777 or go to htroofers.com. Again, the number is 205-984-4777 or htroofers.com. Hometown Roofing and Restorations. Do it right the first time.
All right, did want to give you a minute here, Damien, because we've been talking a lot about the national championship, but I know you're a huge Tennessee Titans fan, so the floor is yours. Robert Saleh looks like he's going to be the next head coach there for your Tennessee Titans. Obviously, a very successful defensive coordinator. Had a bit of a rough stretch as the head coach of the Jets. I think a lot of that was out of his control, though. So how do you feel now moving forward for the Titans? Do you like the hire? Did you want someone else? Where you at?
I mean, I knew that we weren't going to get Harbaugh. Probably not going to really pursue Mike Tomlin. And then if Sean McDermott hadn't got fired just yesterday, I thought that we could have put all of our chips on the table and make him say no. But I think Robert Saleh it's a decent hire. I'm not necessarily jumping for joy, but I also don't feel like we're in the doldrums. I think that it's very similar to the Mike Vrabel mentality, because Mike Vrabel was a defensive guy, and he kind of, whoever he hired as offensive coordinator, let them do their thing. And I think Robert Saleh will kind of do that as well. I'm excited because I do think that he's well respected amongst the NFL coaching circles. But right now, I mean, we're in a rebuilding process, and I think for now he takes a little bit of pressure off of our rookie quarterback in Cam Ward of, hey, man, we're going to get an offensive guy in here to get you right. My job is mostly on the defensive side. I can get this defense to where we're not going to ask you to go out here and throw for 400. If you give us 17 points, we should still be able to win a ball game or at least compete for it. So I think that while I'm not, doing cartwheels, I think this is a good hire. And really the trajectory for us is just up at this point. So yeah. I feel like we could have gone a lot worse, but a guy that has head coaching experience, and to your point too, is with the Jets, and really ain't nobody has success.
I don't hold
so.
that against him as
Right.
much. I don't look at him as like Adam Gase, where that's like an absolute disaster of a hire if that was the case. But no, I like Robert Saleh, obviously great defensive mind. So yeah, I didn't know if you were optimistic about the future or if you were hoping that Kurt Signetti was gonna secretly end up being the head coach there of the Tennessee Titans. But a new era there for Tennessee and Cam Ward, and going to be exciting to see how that all plays out. So the final few moments here, let's get back to your text on the text line, brought to you by Courtesy GMC, like this one that says, I found out last night that I guess I only care to watch Auburn play or Alabama lose. I only watched one quarter, but looked like it was a great game.
See, I wouldn't text that. Like, those are kind of the why do you think we need to know that information? Like, it pisses me off because it's like, bro, what? It makes no sense. Why? You chose to not watch a great football game. If you don't love ball, just say that. Like, you can't say, oh, I just specifically love Auburn football. It's the national championship game. Well, to each its own. That's just dumb. I'm sorry. That's just dumb.
It is what it is. This text says, y'all now have all the time in the world to talk SEC hoops. Talking hoops in November will always be wild, especially when y'all's bio says you're home for college football. Well, guess what, buddy? If you go to IHOP, they got more than pancakes there. They got other things there. I'm sorry that we wasted 2 minutes of your November on SEC hoops. You're really going to hate the show moving forward, I'll tell you that much.